What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Friday playoff edition of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. Check out Bet365's 3-goal early payout. When your team goes up 3, you get paid. It's that simple, so download the app today. You must be 19 plus, and please play responsibly. We're also presented by Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care. Made in Italy since 1948, Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture in barbershops globally. For 4 generations, so get 15% off at Parasso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps. Hockey15. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Jonny Lazarus, and we got another triple header guest show today. We got Colby Armstrong hopping in right off the jump here. We'll get to him in about like a minute or so. Then we got Erik Cole, the former Carolina Hurricanes Stanley Cup champion. And then to finish it off, we got Glenn Heffern, the commissioner of the USHL. So busy show this morning. We will finish the week off strong here. Crazy week again, as it has been in the playoffs all postseason long. But the Carolina Hurricanes got the Flyers backs against the wall, Colby, and your thoughts on that game initially before we bring on Army to kind of dive deep into it, who was there covering the game.
Well, you know, it's interesting because, well, I don't know if interesting is necessarily the right word, but the Flyers come out last night and they actually probably played one of their better periods of the series. I know that I saw that. I said that about overtime. I felt like they maybe had a good run in overtime, but Carolina kind of probably got a bounce just because they had just been such a better team throughout this series. Last night, the first period, the Flyers, again, they came out with their hair on fire. But, you know, when you do that and you come out that emotionally charged up, you know, and you have a couple of posts, you're in the game physically, and then Carolina gets that stall power play goal. It's just so deflating. And I don't think the Flyers ever really had an ability to get their emotion back up in the second and the third period. Like, they had some little pushes.
You don't think when Zegras tied it? You don't think when Zegras tied it, they got it going again?
Yeah, but honestly, like, I don't think they were ever really in the game after that at that point. I mean, you look at the way that they kind of unraveled last night. So, I just think it's all credit to Carolina. I can't even really sit here and poke all these holes through Philadelphia when Carolina's sort of machine-like style of just consistently reloading above the puck and just consistently smothering plays. Like, they did this to Ottawa, right? And so I just think at this point, we have to kind of sit here and say this Carolina team, they're different. You know, I mean, I don't think we could say the East is weak. I don't think we could say they don't have enough skill. Like, all of the things that we've kind of said why Carolina hasn't been able to get to the dance here, it doesn't look like that this season. So this playoff run. So I think a lot of credit to Carolina. Like, no matter how we slice it here, just a lot of credit to Carolina.
So I will give credit to Carolina as well. I want to bring Colby Armstrong in here. So no Reed, we'll just bring Army right in. And I know Army usually comes in with a joke, I feel like, and a big smile. Where's the big smile this morning, Army? What's going on?
I just woke up, boys. I'm going to go back to bed after, too.
You are? Are you doing the game Saturday as well?
Yeah, Saturday. So I'm hanging around in Philly here.
Nice. What are you going to do with the day off today?
I don't know. Might meet up with Colbs, maybe go grab a lunch. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Double Colby lunch. Can you imagine that?
Maybe. Yeah. I told him I was going to swing through the city on my way down to the shore, you know? So I don't usually go into the city all that often anymore, but I can make an exception for this guy. I don't mind getting the bulletproof armor on my car and take a ride through Center City this fine Friday here in Philadelphia. And one of the things, like, I kind of wanted to ask you about, because you had that view last night of being between the benches, and I know you were talking about it on a little bit, but I also on the broadcast, but I also know, like, as between the bench guys, sometimes you have to filter certain things, like you just do, because I just feel like there's a little bit of a respect factor and for some people. And I'm just curious, like, some of the back and forth between like Talk and Zegras last night, and then when Talk was getting like really animated on the bench, like, I don't know if he was like showing Konechny something about the power play or what, but like, what was happening during that period of time? I mean, they were unraveling, but Talk was looking emotionally up and then down and then up and then down in that sequence.
I will say, yeah, like being down there is, and Philly has a young team, right? And they're highly active. Like they're coaching the entire game. And then I look over at Carolina's bench and they're just kind of like standing there. It's like a totally different atmosphere on each bench with Philly and how they're handling their players. And I can see that, they're in a totally different situation. They got a lot of young guys that are asking to, do a lot right now. They got some guys injured. So they got some young guys asked to do a lot right now against a really good hockey team. And a lot of it too, I think, is the amount of pressure that Carolina's providing. So it's like, okay, we have to identify these things. And talks about that after the game and in the post game too. He's like, we got to have, it's like chess. He compared it to chess yesterday about, just seeing what's there, but you got to see it with them like a couple steps before, no question. And I think he's just constantly on certain things with his team, whether it's Jay Verity or Yogi down on the bench. Their staff is really, really active with their guys. So I wouldn't say it was like emotional. I felt it during like the Taylor Hall review that it was kind of, that they were kind of coming unglued a little bit in that situation when it wasn't the penalty and they were getting hot. The Flyers and the emotions got pretty high. The fans got into it. It was a little bit crazy at that time. And I don't think it took them a while to reel that in, for me personally being down in there, it was pretty hot down in there at that time. And, but I think he's got a totally different job than what Rod Brindamore is dealing with his team, a veteran group, a team that's been there before. They're a well-oiled machine. And so, just a lot more active with instruction and coaching with his guys on the bench.
Army, right before you hopped on, and I think you heard us, but we were kind of giving our props to Carolina. But last night, and even in game 2 for a decent stretch, I think the Canes have shown they're beatable, but the Flyers just don't have enough. Like, is that kind of what you're seeing? Like, is it really just all coming down to personnel for Philadelphia right now?
Yeah, like I was so curious last night, guys, to see like the first – like how the Flyers would react after a game that they probably thought they deserved better in game 2 and overtime and then lost. And it's like, oh man, you let that one slip away. Like that was the game to like kind of get your feet in. I think Carolina admittedly too was like, we weren't that good tonight in game 2. So I was like, game 3, I'm like, okay, here we go. They're on home ice. They got this young team. Like, let's see how they react. They played great. Like they were all over them, posts, chances. Porter Martone was a monster last night for the Flyers. He was unbelievable. He's the best player. And I thought him and Bump were feeding off each other pretty good on that. I guess you could call it the top line. But like, yeah, it's just like, you get these chances, you got to bury those chances and then you just leave them hanging around. They get up with a 1-goal lead after the first period and it's like, okay, how are you going to come out in the second? Like all that in the first and that push and you're left with nothing. It's like when they got up 2-0 in Carolina game 2 and it's like you look up at the clock, you're like, oh my God, like there's still so much time.
Yeah.
There's too much time on the clock. It's like because then the machine, the gears in the Carolina machine start turning and it's just line after line. And like if you look at like, Brant Berglund, our buddy, he has like ice tilt and all. If you look at all that stuff, it's like Carolina's just like dominating, like significant time in the zone. It's crazy how they just operate. And Philly can't with the way that Carolina is playing, even in their own end, speed through the neutral zone, ozone time. But like the Flyers can't sustain. Like they'll come in, get a chance, hit the post last night, for example, and it's like boof, right out of the zone, and here comes Carolina again. Like it's just. They're just once they get the wheels turning on the machine, it's over and they got it going. And no one can score 3 goals against this team. Like you can't.
Yeah.
No.
Ottawa couldn't do it. Philly hasn't done it. You have to bury those chances in the first. If they get up 2-0 with a first period like that on home ice, I like to think that possibly there's maybe a different outcome than game 2. But you got to get right now. You got to get 3 goals, and no one's been able to do it against them. They're just they're a machine.
Let me address this comment in the chat from Sharma. He said, what system should Talk implement to break man-on-man coverage? just start trucking dudes Panther style. I don't think it's necessarily a situation where you put a system in. Like, I think there's different ways to break man coverage. Like, some people would say you've got to support the puck better, but I would say that's just bringing more bodies to one area. I think one of the hardest parts is that, like, you need one or two kind of game breakers that can beat somebody one-on-one, because if you beat someone one-on-one, there isn't a second or third layer. That's why Carolina, the grade A chances that they give up, while it's not a ton, they're really good grade A's. Like, you see somebody and you're like, how's that guy all alone right there? Well, somebody blew a wheel, somebody fell, a bad change, whatever it may be. Once that happens with man on man, I personally, like, I think in the neutral zone against Carolina, you've got to support the puck really well. I even think breaking pucks out, they're so aggressive having one or even two guys coming down the strong side wall. Like, if you're not comfortable putting pucks into the middle on the breakout, you've got to look for like a rim reverse or a center reverse. The D-to-D reverse doesn't work with Carolina because F2 sits on the defenseman. So you almost need to try to get four guys to one side with Carolina's forecheck. And then I think it's a rim reverse, like a hard one, where guys start sort of peeling up over top and then try to come out the other side. But again, I will always go back to how much easier it is when you're on spacebar. I mean, like, that's a high level, I mean, from my couch analysis, but every coach knows these things. Like, I'm not saying something Rick Tocchet doesn't know. It's just so hard to do against the way Carolina plays, right, Army? Yeah. I mean, you watched it like from ice level.
Yeah, like how do you prepare for them, right? For a series, it's like you got to kind of like everything you've done all year, you've got to kind of like reinvent some of the stuff you do to avoid that pressure, almost, in a sense. Like, you got to get away from the puck and then come back towards the puck so that you have some time in those situations. You know, the one thing they did really good, it was actually Bump who did it. Like, entered the zone, kind of did a pull up, almost stopped the play, you know, and took pressure on his back. He had that nice play down in the corner to Martone. It was like kind of they were both down there at one point. Bump stopped. He took pressure. And then Martone kind of came through and then vacated around and spun around kind of that little soft spot and that little pie. He got a good backhand shot off. This was the shot that went on the goal line, that goal line save by Slavin.
Oh, and Slavin played? Yeah, Slavin played? Yeah.
Yeah, you got to hang on to pucks against them in the O-zone, and you've got to stop the pressure, almost, in a sense, with their man-on-man type of deal that they do. But he Bump, by doing that, sucked in two guys to him. Like, they're aggressive, right? They want to shut down battles right away, and they want to get guys to you. So you see two guys on Bump right there, right? Like, all he did was stop. He took on pressure from Slavin, and he had two guys come to him, and he just popped it in behind them. And look at the chances that it has. Now there's a breakdown. Guys are collapsing. It's crazy. They got to do more of that. It's really like a patient style game, I think, in the O-zone, where you can't, rush chances. You can't rush it. And I mean, we're dealing with a pretty young Flyers team that's drinking out of a fire hose against this Carolina team. Yeah. So easier said than done a little bit, but that's the thinking of that style of game, that you're going to have to play against them to expose some breakdowns, some guys making some poor reads or bad decisions, or thinking they can close on you faster and shut things down and expose those situations. And that's just like patience. That's just like patience with your game, hanging on to pucks, being okay to take guys on your back and be in traffic a little bit and make plays off of that. But Carolina, like, trying to get out of your own end, trying to get through the neutral zone, and like all you kind of have for the most part is like, when you're coming up, it's just like a chip in, it's like a touch puck on a like little chip in off a pass to go get it and get on the forecheck. They're right up on you. Everything they do is just smothering. And then once they got up last night too, guys, like, you could just see it. It was
Forget
just
it.
Like,
when you're chasing against them, you're done. Like, being down to Carolina, it might be the worst team to be down against there is left. And let me ask both of you guys this question. Did you guys ever have coaches Go ahead, Johnny. Go ahead.
I wanted to add one point, like just about trying to beat Carolina offensively. Like it's not like they have the most skilled defensemen. Like I think you have to be willing to try to create offense off of the forecheck, and like that's the only way you're going to do it. Like that play we were talking about before we went live this morning.
Great
Zegras makes the play.
Yeah.
I think bumps on the wall, and Martone's the F3, like right in that like top of the circle area, and they create a 2-on-0. Like, and that's all Zegras coming from the strong side to the weak side, taking away the walls. Like, and I think it was maybe Keandre who coughed that puck up. Like, it's not like Carolina's defensemen are these like super skilled elite puck moving guys. They're smart.
Yeah,
and
but
they're
Johnny,
simple, but you can create off the forecheck.
They have 3 exits that they use. They have a bump, they have a direct up, and then they have a reverse. And it's a machine. And let me just say this, like having come up in the days of Claude Julien overseeing the Bruins organization, and then Bruce Cassidy kind of coming up behind him, like you're talking about 2 guys that were like structure freaks, and like every breakout looked the same and it worked. And when you're going back and I've got 3 options, the efficiency level of it with how much you go to it and practice it, like you're doing it in your sleep. They're a hard team to get in on because there's no freelancing. How many times, Army, last night did Carolina freelance a breakout? I don't remember more than a couple, right?
Yeah. Like, I mean, the way they've done it for years and what they have there, like the thing that I noticed down at ice level last night is once they got the game in control, they were comfy. They were high stepping. It was automatic, to your point, with how they play, and they're fine. Like playing that way, like they're fine just wearing on you, just wearing you down shift after shift with that style of game. And to Johnny's point, like it's not pretty. Like there's nothing super pretty. And that's why they've been criticized so hard, right? Like they tried to go get Rantanen, they did the Gensel thing, and like, this is how they play. And like either you can fit in there like a Taylor Hall coming in who's fit perfectly and has found unbelievable chemistry on that line. Like it's just great guy, great interview, and his game is shining.
Players love him. He's a well-liked guy.
His game is just shining too under this, and he looks like he's having fun doing it. It's kind of almost looks simple and easy for them all to play it with where they're at with their game right now. They've really, I mean, they've hit their stride, and their D are huge too. Like Miller's a monster. They got the Russian back in last night. The guy's a Shrek. Like it's Slavin. You saw like Martone coming down on Slavin. He tried to go like bump too, tried to like, they looked like they had a step, tried to go under the stick and get to the net. And he just blasts you down to the ice. Like no way, builds a wall. And it's like they got a lot of guys. Chatfield, shorthanded goal last night. First goal from a defenseman.
Man, he's a good player. Chatfield's a good defender, man. Like every team in the NHL could use a Chatfield, but Chatfield wouldn't look as good in other team systems because of how automatic Carolina is. You've taken the thought out of the game for a guy like him, which is why I'm not saying he couldn't play in the league. That's definitely not what I'm saying here, but like, he goes from being a top 4 or even a top pair-ish complement shutdown D for Carolina, if needed, to a third pair guy who's a little bit more limited in other team systems. And that's the beauty of what you're talking about with Rod, the way that they plug guys in, to their computer database, and they just know, like, Tulsky writes up a code, they plug them in, boom, they fit like a glove more times than not.
Yeah. They're like, here's the menu. We printed off the menu. Here it is. These are the good combinations for tonight's dinner. I mean, it's, like their team of any team is just, to me, watching it is just, I said it's a machine. It's just so, their game is just so automatic. Like, and the way that they play, like Rod, his style of play, he was talking yesterday about Philly, how great Philly is. It's the best sports town in America. If you stink, they let you know. If you're good, they let you know. And they appreciate hard work. That's why he's like loved here in his like 8 years here as a Flyer. Like he's loved here. And he was like kind of like talking pretty highly about it yesterday at morning skate, about like kind of his feeling about being a Flyer. and kind of what the fan base appreciates. And they resemble that to a T. Like, how many intangible guys do you have on this team? Like Stahl, monster game last night. Ehlers, he was he just human breakout into their zone, automatic, but he was tap dancing, feeling good. Like, he fits that with his speed game. Like, they found the right pieces and then the right intangible guys with character. Martin diving, his head's down, battling off a guy to poke it to Stahl for that thing. Like, there's got so many
Robinson.
guys. Yeah. A lot of different other things in this lineup too. It's not just like they're robots. They got a lot of character and personality, and they're playing like, they look totally in control. They look like they're having fun. Like, there's a swagger to them too. Like, I don't know if you guys look at Carolina, like kind of like this, like nerdy group, kind of, just because of the way that they play. It's just so, like, some would say boring, but it's just so like persistent and on every single shift in every game that it's like, you kind of get like numb to the fact of how good they are. But like, when you're
I think persistence is the perfect word.
Yeah,
Perfect word.
and consistent with it to a man through that lineup. It's just crazy how they have them going. It's crazy watching it. It's crazy watching them, like their personality and their jam. Like Stankoven at the end of the game, standing in there, Ristolanen's like poking at him. Sealer comes in, little stanky legs just hanging in there, just trying to put his dukes up with the big boys. Like, you can't push them around either. Like, they have some jam also through their lineup of all their guys. I mean, it's been really impressive. Obviously, for a number of years what they are, but especially here in the playoffs against Ottawa and now Philly, which you expect them to win. And they're probably doing it the way that they should, by sweeping Ottawa and potentially sweeping Philly here Saturday night in Anderson's game, and getting the rest and resting their guys that play the skating, demanding style of game. Like, they're in a perfect spot for this to be like kind of one of those magical Canes years.
Yeah, they might get 10 days of rest with how long I expect, and we expect that Buffalo-Montreal series to go. Like, it could be
and
legit.
Then you get Jarvis
like
scores the other night. You get all these guys chipping in. Svetch gets on the board.
Yeah,
finally.
last night's first one. Yeah.
And they're getting them mainly it was the Stankoven line that's been doing all the scoring. I think they had 7 goal scorers only through 6 games, which isn't crazy, but it's like, where's the top line guys? Where's all these other guys? And they're getting their feet into the playoffs now. They're getting their hands a little dirty with what they're, looked upon to do. So that's even another scary thing for them.
I did want to ask you quickly, Armin. I know we're going to go into the Norris conversation just briefly before we let you go here, but for those who don't know, your brother Riley is the director of player development for the Flyers.
Yeah.
And obviously, these young guys have been a huge conversation throughout the postseason, throughout the season. I'm just wondering, like, your conversations with Riley, like right now. I mean, most of us would have anticipated this is kind of how the series was going to go, but how has he been, I guess, with the vision of where the guys are at right now, and how good this still is for them to just get this experience against a team like Carolina, for the future, because it is still a really young team.
Yeah, and you know what? Remember when the Flyers were trying to get in the playoffs and they put Martone out there and he scored that? Was it OT
5-on-3? Yeah.
And like, I talked to my brother after that, and he's like, "Man, that was sick. That was like, I felt like I scored the goal." He said, "I was like,
what?"
No, but like, when you're in it and you like go and see these guys and you're working with them, like, I don't know how long he's been on like 3 or 4 years. So like, this is his kind of crop of guys that are starting to come on now from when they draft them to like, get into this moment. And yes, they're not finished products, and they're still, growing in there with some of these young guys. Like Porter's 19 years old, but it's like, and there's still guys coming in junior and stuff. And Luchenko just was on the ice yesterday, just came from junior. They just lost out in the OHL. But they got like a lot of these guys, and just the work you put in with them. And I think video and kind of the crop of young guys that they're really excited about that we're starting to see right now, I think is pretty rewarding for him in that position to be able to feel that. So it's pretty cool. I keep track of him. He's in whatever college, watching their guys, spending time with them and doing video and, summertime stuff. I know he's really active and busy and communicating with them. So it's pretty cool just in talks with him as these guys are starting to come on the scene to kind of see, the vision of the Flyers a little bit through it with some of their picks and kind of where they're heading with some of these younger guys that are pretty darn good players. Like, I think was Bump. I think if I remember, I think he was drafted at like Minnesota's high school hockey. Like,
yeah, he was the 5th or 7th round pick, something in there. And I remember when I did his last college game, like at ice level, obviously when he went out as a winner, but I always thought that Bump would translate quick just because I felt like his game was already mature. And I said, you know what? Normally those guys can come in and provide offense, but if they need to be on the third line, you can't trust them to play in those roles, which is like the old way guys used to have to make it. Like I always tell everybody how like Brad Marchand was on the fourth line in the American League, even his first jump into the American League. Marshy was on the fourth line. Then he had to work his way all the way up and then go to the fourth line in Boston and work his way all the way up. Bump had just sort of this like maturity and his game was round. And I feel like I thought he would be successful because he could play without the puck probably a little bit from the get-go. And I think you got to give Firsch credit for that, as coach out there. And look, Martone has said in half a dozen interviews how impactful what he did with Riley was for him. And I want to credit our friends at Michigan State, credit that staff because they were not threatened by the fact that somebody else was also sort of quote unquote coaching him. That used to be not a lot of college programs used to be okay with that. I remember when I was at BU, there was a good camaraderie between the Avs and BU. Like Craig Billington was kind of the assistant GM at the time. And they end up hiring David Quinn to be their head American League coach. So there was obviously good symmetry there between BU and the Avs. But I just remember hearing stories of a lot of college teams that would be like, no, you're not working with their video coach. You're not doing that type of stuff. So just credit to the whole situation of look, we know this guy's on a 1-year plan. He's going to be all in while he's at Michigan State. And if you watch Martone play, he was all in while he was there. That kid was never looking towards the future the way that he played. But it's definitely something that Martone has gone out of his way to talk about. And you and I both know, and you're probably seeing it with Cruiser right now. There's certain people that come into your hockey journey and you just can bond with them and you feel like they kind of are with you and have your back. And when that relationship is formed for a 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid, the ability to make an impact is really, really big. I could think about those people in my career and they were some of the most important people to me from probably 17 years old till the end, even till now that I reach out to.
Well, I think that's so super important. I think that's more over the years has gotten more detailed too with that development aspect, I think. And I look at those guys, someone like Barkey, some of these, will we see Bonk on Saturday night, in their elimination game? Do they want to throw him in there too? It'd be kind of cool to put him in that situation. He got a game at the end of the year. He got to have a goal.
Nothing to lose now.
Just throw him in the fire. Let's see how the kid does. Give him that experience. So they got, but they got hockey players, man. And the Flyers, Martone's a perfect Flyer. So you draft a kid. It's he's all in. He's super engaged. He wants to be a difference maker. He plays his style of game, but it's he's so engaged with wanting to, be good and be that guy that you got this machine, this guy that's on another level. And then it's just kind of honing that and the little things inside of that. And you guys know, once you get to the next level, it's just a lot of little things and just fine tuning a lot of those things. So, we had Alexander Dagg on our 100th episode on Wednesday on Game Notes.
Snaps.
You talk about a guy first overall pick, got to the NHL, stubborn, wanted to be a scorer, got told, hey, I think you could be an effective guy with a little bit of a checking role in you. Yeah, get out of here, buddy. What do you know? I'm Alexander Dagg, and he was pretty raw and real with that conversation a little bit, not wanting to listen. And and really drop some knowledge on what's important. To your point, Colby, is like, you play third line, you can play first line. You got to be a hockey player. You got to be able to go up and down. You got to be able to fit in different spots. You got to find a role and a purpose, which is like, if you look at the Canes lineup, every guy has that through their lineup. Like, you could interchange up and down guys through that entire thing. It's crazy the way they are. And you got to make yourself valuable. And that's what coaches like. That's what they trust. That's how you stick around. That's how you stay around. That's how you last. And they've got a lot of young guys, from what I'm seeing, that are those kind of guys too, that have potential to be those kind of guys. Hard skills, okay playing, battling in traffic. And yes, they're skilled, but they have these other things too that they can provide, to your point about bumps, mature style of game. And, to find players like that is one thing, and draft them. And then to get them in there and see them succeed is another thing. So for Riles, I think he's pretty pumped about seeing some of his guys like reach there and find a little bit of success, and then get these experiences as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll say one more.
Even what you're saying. Okay, go.
No, go ahead, Johnny. You can be involved in the show today. I was just going to say.
No, it's okay. You got it.
The one comment I'll say through all of this and through all the young guys and with how well they're doing, one of the most simple answers I can give anybody when you're asking, like, how do you beat Carolina, and like how do you do any of this stuff, like, you still need a superstar, and the young guys are doing great. And this is one of the reasons why when Quinn Hughes was available, and I was banging the drum saying, offer, if Michkov has that kind of value, make the offer, go get a guy like Quinn Hughes, like, because you know how you beat man on man, you know how you beat the Carolina Hurricanes. A superstar makes a fucking play. And
can you imagine if Philly got like a superstar? Like, who could they get? Like,
well,
like
listen, I think they could have put a package together for Quinn Hughes. I think they could have. When you look what Vancouver got, I think you could have put a package together that involved Michkov, and you could have gone out and gotten yourself a guy like Quinn Hughes, especially with Tocchet and his relationship with Quinn. So you still need a star. And unless Carolina wins a cup this year and can beat the Carolina Hurricanes, can beat the Colorado Avalanche, who are littered with stars, and that looks like who's on their way to that. This looks like the crash course we're on, Carolina, Colorado, right? And is the Carolina frenetic system going to be able to take away the stars in Colorado? Like, that's going to be the question. And if they do, well, then maybe you don't need a superstar. Maybe you don't.
I think Montreal can take them, honestly. I think with Carolina, like having the okay. Well, maybe we can work to get him back in. But I think with Carolina, like having the mobile D, the skilled D up top, like getting in the high ice, like that's how, to me, the best way to beat a man-on-man is to get in the high ice in the offensive zone. Like, that's what makes Montreal so good when you have Demidov rolling up top, Cole Caulfield rolling up top, the interchanges with Dobson and Hudson, and those guys are just confusing the defenseman by, having the D below the goal line. Like, that's what gets the man-on-man all messed up. Like, that's what the Rangers would do against Carolina. Granted, the Rangers power play came up big, but like Panarin and Fox and all these guys that were rolling through the zone were buzzing and losing their defenseman.
There's more
DeAndre Miller,
it, though,
even.
Johnny. It just, because I think a lot of times, and I think like, I know we're gonna have Erik Cole come on the show here in a few seconds, but a lot
Hopefully
of times,
we can say goodbye to Army, though. I don't know
when there's too much movement, you look cool and you might look like the Harlem Globetrotters, but all you're doing is dragging people into an area where you're taking time and space away from these players that can make plays and that can create space for themselves. Like, sometimes we watch a 5-on-3 power play, and I think this is a good example where there's so much movement but
no one looks.
You don't ever accomplish anything. You look like you're on a merry-go-round, but you're never beating the box. You're never moving penalty killers around. And I think sometimes when you're in a man-on-man, right, and you're in a situation in a man-on-man where you get too much movement and guys are everybody's just dragging people over to take away others' time and space. So some teams can do it. That's why the star players in the NHL, the way that those guys create space for themselves, or a really good player, and if you're really synced up with your line mate, Johnny, without the puck, know how to move to create more for you and create more openings and space for you. And so there's a science to it, right? Or everybody would do it against Carolina. Everyone would just say, hey, let's just move around a lot. It doesn't work that simply in
Yeah,
my
but not everyone
opinion.
has that skill either. Not everyone has the skill. Like I don't think the Flyers have the mobile or skilled defenseman that like a Montreal or even Buffalo have. Like I think those teams are built better to beat a team like Carolina than Philly is. And you know, I could maybe argue then Ottawa is. Like Ottawa has a guy like Sanderson and Shabbat, obviously, but I don't know if those guys are Sanderson I'd put up there, but I don't know if I'd like say that they're just as good as like Dahlin and Byram and even Samuelson you could put in that category with how good he's been. And then for Montreal, you got Cole Hudson and Dobson. Like I think those are like pretty strong, you know, offensively talented defensemen that can do it. But
Johnny,
I think we
why
got
don't
Erik Cole here.
I think we have Erik Cole. Let's bring him into the show and, you know, say good morning and say hello.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. We're pumped to have you on here.
Happy to be
so
here.
I guess with the Canes, you know, I believe, you know, I don't know if we've seen a team sweep their way to the conference final, but the way they're doing it, like Erik, a lot of people are saying that they're breezing their way through. Do you feel that way? Because I do feel like Ottawa was a good challenge, and I do feel like Philly has been a good challenge, even though they've been significantly better.
Yeah, so okay, so I was at game one against Ottawa, and you know, I think while they swept Ottawa, it was still a very, very tight
Yeah.
series,
That was a
right?
hard
Like, I
sweep.
mean, like every game was a battle. It was a grind, right? Like, and they earned that rest, you know, and thankfully they got it. Like, because if they're gonna sweep like that, they're gonna need that rest, especially against when you're having, tough series, like regardless of how many games it goes. Um, so I think the Ottawa series was, it was a lot harder than and a lot closer than a 4-0 like sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I mean, a lot of people didn't even think that Carolina was going to win that series the way Ottawa had been
I didn't think
playing.
so.
Johnny didn't.
And
I took
I
Ottawa in
mean,
7.
shame on you guys. Shame on you.
But
No, I
but
took Carolina.
the
I
Canes
took
in 4.
Carolina.
I took the Canes in 4 this round. I took the Canes in 4.
Well, so I think that, it was a tough series, and I think Carolina proved to themselves, like that they have the character and the mettle, and they have the experience more than anything, right? Like, I think that's, these guys have been in the playoffs year after year. They've had a couple conference finals, and I think that they believe, and that they look like a team that believes in themselves, believes in one another, and they just look. It looks like Roddy's got them all dialed in,
Yeah.
and they're going, and they're still. I mean, even when you have that focus and you have like that execution, you're still going to lose games.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an easy road. Everything's going to be difficult. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is
Yeah.
a grind. So, they're going to face adversity. They're going to have, some tough nights. They're going to, I mean, you know, game 2 in Carolina. I was at that
Yeah.
against Philly,
Yeah.
and they didn't have their best stuff, and they found a way to end up winning the game in overtime. It was a unbelievable atmosphere, great game to be at, a lot of fun, and those are the breaks you need and the performances that you need. I thought Freddie was unbelievable, especially early in overtime. Like, the Flyers were buzzing. It was like many, many moments where you're like, man, the ice is just tilted. Like, these guys are going for it. And, you know, Taylor Hall up the wing and cuts it to the middle, and, just gets a bounce in front of the net. And, I don't even think the puck hit the back padding. It barely got across the line. And it's not
Mhm.
like he buried it. Um, so, but that's what you need in the playoffs. And every night somebody else has got to step up and, play the role of hero. But right now it looks like, Carolina, they're getting, like, Freddie's been very, very good.
So good.
Steady.
Well, he
Like
just,
he
it
looks
seems
so
to me
calm,
that
so comfortable.
the timeliness of his saves are, it's not like I feel like he faced a little bit more pressure in the Ottawa series, like you talked about, but with Carolina, they don't give you a ton of grade A's, but the ones they give up are their prime grade A's. And he erases the one or two mistakes a night that they make. He erases them.
Yeah.
And when you've got a guy doing that and you've got a team as committed to playing like a team and a team that is, I just don't think we see another team in the NHL that's as comfortable just living to fight another day for longer stretches of time. And then they just pounce. And they the minute there's a cut, they're like, they smell that from like a mile away. And how is it that Rod gets them to be this way year in and year out? It is so impressive.
It's just it speaks to the culture like that Roddy's created here. I mean, it's been apparent from day one. He took over, and Justin Williams was a big part of that too. Like people kind of forget, Mr. Game 7 was a part of when, he came back to Carolina and wanted to be here, to finish out his career. He's still here. He's real tight with the organization.
Yeah, we had him on the show last week. I know him from Philly, just from skating together when he was a Flyer, and he was, he obviously his wife's from Jersey, and so I got to know him when I was like still playing college, kind of coming into pro. We all kind of skated and trained together down at Voorhees, and Willie's the best. I love him, and I think he has a huge. You're right. Like he doesn't need to be front facing, and so but I think he has a lot.
He doesn't want to be.
Yeah. Other than with Willie's hot chicken in the rink, in the arena, but he's a big part of the culture, right? I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and so when Roddy came in, first thing he did, announced that Willie, Justin's going to be the captain. He should have been announced it by Bill Peters, in my opinion. Like Bill came around and asked all of us our opinion, and we all said Willie. And he went off the board and gave it to Falk and Jordan Stahl, and it was like, wait, what? Like, why? Like you have a Conn Smythe winner, 3 cups, Mr. Game 7. It was like, this is the obvious choice, right? Like what are we doing here? And so, whatever the ownership changes, there's a whole overhaul by Tom Dundon, and Roddy's first thing, he's bringing in Willie to be the leadership. Willie and Roddy played on the same line together. They killed penalties together. Power play, everything, like every situation. He sat next to him in the locker room. Like he was the ideal guy to help form the culture. And Roddy's had it set now for 8 years. And guys, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. Guys come in and you buy into it and you're a part of it. And if you're not, hey, that's fine too. Like there's other guys there's other players in this league that we'll bring in here and want to be a part of it. And that's fine. So I think that, this year, they just look so focused, so dialed in. You see it. And then, to your point, like they're very comfortable in tight games. And, when they get that little, there was a moment last night that they could have broken, but they bent a little, and the 5-on-3, like Roddy getting teed up, man. I don't know what he said, but
he got his money's worth.
That guy, but these guys are way more sensitive now. I don't think you can get away with some of the things we used to get away with. I mean, you used to just have an FU match with a ref, and then you'd skate by him the next time. You're like, hey man, sorry, I just promotion, and they'd be like, yeah, no worries, like we're good.
Me too, yeah.
Not in today's game. In today's game, they're like,
too many microphones. I think part of that is too many microphones. Like I think part of it is just everything. There's not it's hard to the code is the code. And I think everybody does still know the code, but I think everything is so visible now that I just feel like that kind of stuff has unfortunately gone away. Cause I'd argue those types of things and those types of attitudes helped control the moments where you felt like maybe he didn't, I owe him one, or like he owes me one. And so I think that's part of why we see a lot more parades to the box these days for non bench clearing, 5-on-5.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's we're trying to censor it as much as we can. There's kids watching.
Yeah.
Sure. What I will say though, and honestly to that, I feel like so many people have said we need like an NHL pay-per-view channel where there's no broadcast. It's just like what you hear on the ice. But like guys would literally like that would be the worst idea ever. That's the worst. Worst idea.
No.
Every player has to be mic'd up.
I'm not a fan of that.
No, it's not the player, Colby. They have like the mics on the boards.
I'd be down. No. Yeah, I'd be a no.
I don't think any player would want that. But I do want to reel it back in for 1 second though, Erik. Like I think a big thing too with the first 2-round opponents that Carolina's played, you could argue that, Ottawa had all this like built up angst and pressure to make some noise in the playoffs after getting there last year and everything surrounding Tkachuk and Ullmark all year. And, while you could say that is outside noise, it still is something. It's tangible. It's there. And then with the Flyers, you could tell there was, while they're not necessarily playing that way, you can still sort of tell that the Flyers are intimidated by Carolina, and as they should be. They're a young and experienced group. But when you get to the next round, the Canadians and the Sabres, I feel like, are both in that like house money category, right? Where no one expected either team to be in the conference final. And maybe that could be a huge negative to Carolina, right? Where those two teams have nothing to lose, and I don't think they'd be scared of the Canes. So I'm interested, we're starting to hear questions of, who's the better opponent for Carolina between those two teams? I'm wondering what you think.
I mean, okay, so first of all, when it comes to the Stanley Cup playoffs, you don't pray for one opponent or the other. Like, everyone's going to be hard. Everyone's going to be difficult. To your point about like, I mean, obviously, it's 3-0. I would be really shocked if Philly were to be able to come back and win 4 straight on Carolina.
No chance.
I think with Ottawa and Philly both, they played so hard and so well to get to that point and get in the playoffs that I feel like it was almost like a sigh of relief, right? For both franchises, both groups. Ottawa unfortunately had to play against Carolina, who, if game 2 goes a little different in the Ottawa Carolina series,
they should have won that game.
It would have been a much tougher series, right? It would have been way more difficult. With Philly, they scratched and clawed to get in, and then had a pretty tough series like with Pittsburgh. As much as they kind of, I don't want to say like walked through them. I think it still kind of took their toll like on that group, and I don't think they fully kind of like recovered from like the emotions of that. And like to your point that it's a young group and everything, it's really, really, especially with a young group, like every playoff run that I went on, especially here in Carolina, we were a little bit more seasoned, more veteran, and guys had been there like, at different points in their career, and they knew what to expect. And like, with the exception of, I mean, my rookie year, we went to the finals against Detroit and lost. And we had, I mean, a real veteran heavy like lineup there, right? Those guys had all been to cup finals, and, they had all the experience. And so they knew how to control the highs and the lows, and you just stay there, right there in the middle, in that even keel. And that's really, really important in the playoffs. As far as the next 2 opponents, whether it's Montreal or Buffalo, the big fear with either one of those 2 teams is, I feel like those 2 teams, like, it's almost, to the point like nobody expected them to be there, and so they feel like it's like kind of like a destiny thing, right? Like, and I know, like, I'm certain, because I heard about it when I was in Dallas, Lindy Ruff would love nothing more than to erase, the memory from 20 years ago when, they all thought that they should have beaten the Hurricanes in the 7-game series, but it was injuries or what, like whatever excuse, how Buffalo is, they make every excuse they can. Like it
fuck
is.
them.
That's what happened. Whatever
Johnny
it is,
hates
right? Like they make the
Buffalo
excuse.
Sabres fans, Eric. He
Say it
hates
with me.
Buffalo Sabres fans.
Yeah, I'm with you. They're the worst.
Yeah.
And I'm
Good
from,
to have
I'm
you
from
on board.
Central New York.
You're from
I'm
from
Oswego,
Central New
right?
York.
Yeah.
Oswego.
Hey, Central New York. We hate those guys out west.
Yeah. I played
No,
with
but-
one of your I played with one of your nephews. I think I'm forgetting his name. 96 birth year. He's my age. We played together in like a state camp. Sorry, off topic, but kind of
Probably
that.
with my last name.
No,
Yeah,
no,
probably.
not your last name,
Oh, a nephew.
or maybe it was your last name.
Are you?
I don't know.
You're. Geez, Johnny, you're really.
Sorry.
You're really going.
Yeah.
You're really
I
going
threw
for
up-
one here with
I
the.
mean-
You're really going for
I
one.
I mean,
with the
96.
details
Like,
here.
how old do you think I
Yeah.
am? I was.
Yeah, Johnny.
No,
This
no.
guy was.
I was
No,
in high
I was
school in
still-
'96.
He was still playing in the NHL. Like,
No, I'm a 96
first
birth
got my
year.
cup of coffee in
Oh,
the
you're
NHL.
96 birth year. I don't think I had
I'm saying
a
birth
nephew
year.
born
Birth
in
year.
'96.
Some kids
Yeah, I
running
guess we didn't
around
have a
saying
nephew
that
born
he's
in '96.
some kids running around saying that he's related to you. So you'll have to look into that at a
Yeah.
at a
It
later
happens.
date.
It happens.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
happens.
Well, funny though, we the last thing I wanted to say to you, we actually the next guest we have coming on is the commissioner from the USHL, Glenn Heffern. We were going to talk to him about the announcement yesterday on this sort of expanded partnership with the NHL. You're a former Des Moines Buccaneer legend, just lighting up 30 goals in that league before it was in style to score 30 goals in that league, and then your alma mater Clarkson just opted in this week into the house settlement. So a lot of news coming out of some of the places that I think you had some damn good success at in your career.
Yeah, I like that year in Des Moines was really huge for me. Scott Owens, I owe him a lot of credit for
Played college for him.
finding me. He he called my parents' house phone and told me how he was going to be in Boston to watch me like the next weekend, wanted to take me out to breakfast and talk about getting me out to Des Moines. And I can remember hanging up the phone. I was like, yeah, like I'm going to Des Moines, right? Like I knew nothing about it.
It's
And
just like Oswego.
and,
Come on, it's like the same thing.
I don't know about that stuff. But so he showed up and he took me to breakfast and everything. And it wasn't until he and I left the parking lot that all the other parents kind of freaked out to my parents saying like, do you know how big this is? Like this is a huge thing that he's coming here and like, showing that he, wants to bring like Erik out there. And so it was on the ride home from Boston that weekend. And my dad's like, hey, he's like, I'll never forget. He's looking in the rearview mirror and he's like, hey, we're going to need to talk about this. And I was like, wait, what, really? And he's like, yeah, like, he's like, this is like pretty legit. And I was like, okay, all right, let's have this conversation. And so, eventually I ended up out there and I think I wasn't quite sure like what I was capable of. And it took me a little while to adjust. But that was a really, really big year for me. And, when you're out there and every other guy on the ice, you feel like has got a D1 scholarship somewhere and you're competing and playing well against them. It was a big confidence year for me that I was able to carry into Clarkson with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, not the most conventional path to go from, Oswego High School. And, I played a year in Junior B in Gananoque, Ontario, kind of like a split season with my
What's
high school
that?
team.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that was
Never
the
heard that
thing.
before. Yeah, never heard of that.
The teams in upstate New York, Eric, the year before I went to the national development team, I played in Syracuse for Don Kernan with
Stars,
the Syracuse
yeah.
Stars. Where like
Donnie, there's another great name.
and like
Yeah, he had a
Merle,
lot of confidence in me.
Merles had played there before that, and
Merles.
Rob Shrimp had played there, and there were guys, and that was the selling point for Don Kernan would be like, hey, come here, and then we'll get you to the next place. And I learned about that upstate kind of New York. Like I knew a little bit of it because of Mike Havlin. You know, when I was a little kid, I played for Mike and George Havlin, and Mike is, you know, Elmira and just like up in that part of New York. But there's a big crossover. Like when I played in Syracuse, we played in Canada. We played in that Ontario Provincial Junior League. So that was kind of the upstate New York. Like you'd go up and play there, and then you'd end up. I mean, eventually I ended up in Lincoln in the USHL. In my senior year in high school.
Great barn. Great barn.
That play one of the coolest things I've ever experienced was my first night in Lincoln when that star came down and the fireworks were coming out of the star, and what did it seat 4,000, but there was 6,000 in the building. I was like,
it was loud.
Unbelievable. And the old Buck Bowl, that place was awesome too, by the way. I mean, that was a great but that was a great barn to play hockey games in.
Old school. Memories,
it was tremendous. Yeah. Tremendous.
Yeah. Like Merle's dad used to
He's in our chat right now.
Program.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about in our chat. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to play Uncle Sam's in the summer. Merle's dad ran it. And then, you know, you mentioned Donnie Kernan. He was the guy that he was always trying to get me to come to Syracuse and leave Oswego, but to be quite like my family couldn't afford it. Like we couldn't afford that much travel and just the expenses that it took to play for that organization. So I just stayed put in Oswego right up until my junior year of high school. But yeah, Mr. Kernan he'd always bring me to the Syracuse, it was like Lysander at the time arena, to have me like train with the fellas and go to some summer camps or like summer tournaments with them and play in those. And he coached us in Empire State games.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget us beating, we were playing for it was like the bronze medal game or whatever. And we were playing against the West. And obviously, you know, it was the Central versus the West was a really big rivalry. And I had a really good game, but I also had Timmy Conley as my centerman.
He was so fucking good, man. Oh my God.
He was great. He fiddled it around, and I just kind of buzzed up and down the wing, and we had a great game. And I can remember, I think it was like it was like a 6-on-5 shift, and I, found a way to score a goal or whatever. I scored a goal late, and I got back to the bench. I'll never forget it. He grabbed me. And I'm kind of out of breath and everything. He grabbed me and he's like, I will never, ever forget this moment. Like, thank you. He's like, he was so pumped that we took that game. It meant a lot, man.
He's huge I owe that guy a lot, Don Kernan. I mean, him getting me to come to Syracuse, it set me on a path for not your level of success, but albeit a good run, you know? So,
it's crazy how that stuff happens though, right? It's I think about it all the time because I grew up with so many great players in Oswego. We had our birth year and our group, we had some really talented hockey players. And, I used to think about it a lot where I'm like, man, how did I get so lucky, so fortunate, all those guys were, just as talented, if not better than I was. I mean, if you were to see me at 15 or 16, you'd have been like, there's no shot this guy is ever playing in the NHL. Right? I was a late bloomer, and yeah, it's just crazy how these stories go. But, then, when you get to the league and everything, everyone's got that story. Everyone's got it, somewhere along the way. That, that one moment where, things clicked and things changed and you made the most of it.
Yeah. But it's changing now with the late bloomers. They're making it harder now, I think, for the late bloomers with this new eligibility rule that they're trying to in place. It's harder today, I think, to be a late bloomer than maybe it was when we were coming up. I mean, I was a late bloomer too. I don't think I got good at hockey till I was 18.
When did you? How old were you when you bloomed, Johnny?
Maybe Maybe 20.
Still watering.
I was just going to say, you're 30. You still haven't bloomed. What are you talking about here?
I'm playing pro roller hockey now. That counts for something.
Oh, God. If you're not playing pro beach hockey in California, I don't want to hear it. Erik, awesome having you on today, man. We're going to have to circle back with you and bother you again because I feel like there's so much more we could have gone into. I mean, just with everything going on in college and your path, and I'd love to get your take on. I saw Clarkson opted in, which I think is great. I've always been a fan of that program. Casey, I know Casey Jones was there for a while, and there's been a lot of change and turnover, but it's a program that it's a team that you never are excited when you have to see them. They're always going to make you earn it, and it's been that way for a long time. So hopefully we could circle back with you and talk about some of this other stuff at some point, maybe this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Like whenever you guys want to sit down and talk about it, JF Rule's there now, and I think JF is doing a great job. We got a really young team right now.
Yeah.
And I think we did pretty well in the portal. This year. So that's obviously a positive, and it's just one of those you're hoping that these guys continue to progress as a group and everything. But it's obviously a program for me. I never looked anywhere else. I never entertained another school. I knew where I wanted to go, and my heart was set on being a Golden Knight from the time I was 14, 15 years old. And I think I sat around waiting for that call. I was kind of like getting antsy about it.
Wow.
But I never went on a visit anywhere else. Never entertained anything else.
Yeah.
I knew that that's where I wanted to be. And my family's all from Northern New York and in that general area. So my grandparents were at nearly every one of my home games. My parents were there all the time.
That's a great.
That's awesome.
It was just.
I love that.
It was a great experience, and I loved my time there. It was great. The relationships and the people that you meet are they were just fantastic. So it was great. Also, my buddy Matt Reed, who's also a Clarkson alum, will kill me if I don't plug this, but I took a coaching position for the NCDC program, the Charleston Colonials, starting next year. So
cool.
He's up in Boston right now doing the pre-draft, coaching a team and doing some recruiting for me and whatnot. But finally, after living the majority of my adult life here in Raleigh, I'm headed to Charleston to start coaching a junior hockey program. So it should be
what a place to play junior hockey.
Yeah,
right. That's what we're trying to sell.
That's sick. Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we'll get you on this summer, and we'll unpack everything.
Hear all
this
about
summer
it. Thanks, man. We really appreciate it. It's awesome to have you on here today. Yeah, talk to you soon.
All right. Cheers.
Yep.
What a beauty. What an awesome guy.
Up with him for a while, huh? Wow.
We'll have to do a summer episode with him, and also we'll have to find out where that hat was from. What a sick hat he had on too, the Hartford Whalers hat.
We got to get to Glenn here, I feel like he's just waiting to come in here with daggers. We got to get to him.
He's licking his chops. To get in here. So let's bring on the commissioner of the USHL. You look hot this morning, Glenn. You got a nice tan going.
Oh, God. You're always saying weird things, Johnny.
I'm just going to start calling him Johnny Bloom from now on.
I'm still waiting for Johnny Hockey over here to Johnny the hockey player over here for him to bloom. Maybe 35 will be your year, Johnny. Maybe 35.
There's so many jokes in there to be had.
Yeah, they really do write themselves. But one of the reasons we wanted to have you on this morning, Glenn, is because yesterday you sat on NHL Network with Bill Daly and a couple of members from NHL Network. Rupper was on there, a friend of the show and the network, and then Pat Kelleher. And you guys announced a new partnership, an expanded partnership, I shouldn't say a new one, with the NHL. And I think a lot of people, first off, it was way too quick on NHL Network yesterday, but I think a lot of people want more detail. They want to know, what does this look like, this renewed agreement with the National Hockey League, an expanded scope of how it's going to affect all of the ecosystem of hockey in the United States?
Well, I think the agreement itself, funds a lot of different programs that we already have in place. But I think the new aspects of this, were a big chunk of this is going to focus in on off ice development, off ice training, beyond what is the normal traditional pathway. And because for us, and the way our schedule works, we actually have the ability Monday through Thursday, pretty much every week, to be able to have our players in the gym, working out and doing various things that are just going above and beyond what I think most other programs are actually able to do, just because of the way their schedules are structured. But it's going to go deeper. It's not just about, well, today's leg day. It is really load management and a lot of stuff that I think we're all just beginning to understand. And, when we brought our strength and conditioning coaches together 2 years ago to have a summit and talk about these things, we had really great experts in the room. We had Michigan's strength and conditioning coach, the Detroit Red Wings. And the stuff they were talking about, they were saying, we didn't even know about this stuff 2 years ago. That's how fast this is evolving. And so we're bringing to bear a lot of different forces, just some new programs, new technologies that will help our players avoid injury, to train better, train smarter, know when they're susceptible. Also, concussion management, it will be different. There's just a lot of different things that we're baking into this, and we're in the process of finalizing what that actually looks like. So it's kind of a top-down approach. The league creates the overarching framework, and then the teams deliver it to all the players consistently across the league. And I think Bill touched on that yesterday. And that is, is to make sure that whether you're in Des Moines or Waterloo or Muskegon, everyone is getting very similar approach to their training. We're also going to be covering off ice or off season training as well. So to help players defray that expense. Some education dollars are also being put into, with this changing landscape with the NCAA. Players may find it necessary to maybe to get a couple of college courses in as well. So we're taking an entire new view of how we approach just about everything we do in the name of the player. So that's the short version of it. I hope that gives you a little bit of sense of where we're going. Mm-hmm.
Is there something in regards to international players as well? Because I know, like, a rule has changed right now. International players have to come and play in the States for a year before they want to go to college. Is that correct or something like that? Was there not something recently with that?
There's some stuff that's being talked about that at the governmental level. There's some legislators that have concerns, not just for hockey, but for all sport, that college athletic scholarships are largely preserved for players that develop here in the United States. We have a pretty global society here in the United States. We have families that live here, that have lived here for 15, 20 years, and they work here and they contribute, and they're not citizens, but they should be eligible for programming. So I think some of that is being talked about at levels that I'm not dealing with, but have had some questions asked about. For the sake of I know there's always some confusion when we talk about our core mission is to help our national governing body, USA Hockey, develop American athletes, because only American athletes can play on international teams, right? So like our Olympic team this year that won a gold medal, 22 of 25 of those players were USHL alums. So I think that is where the confusion comes in. We are still an open door for international players. We do have limitations as to how many players we can take that are not citizens, but I think we manage that all pretty effectively. And So the doors are open for international players. That helps the whole league too. It raises, it raises the level of play when you're able to, play and compete against the very best players in the world. So I think that part of it is not going to change for us. And I think even the NHL, the press release by the NHL alluded to that. Our door is open for players from across the globe.
I saw a lot of players from Sweden and other places getting drafted in the last couple of days, which I love that. I love the Swedish players like probably more than any other country, because I just feel like they're coached so properly at such a young age and they have such great habits. Like I'd love to see more Swedish players making their way over here to play junior hockey and play in the USHL and play college hockey. Like I would love to see that more and more. But that kind of leads me to another subject that I wanted to touch on you today. And look, like, I don't know if this is true, if it's not true. I've been seeing it all over social media, and I couldn't not address this with you today. And there's an account that in Minnesota called Minnesota Hockey Watch, and they have a big following, and they have a bone to pick right now based on the USHL draft, Glenn. And I want to read you the tweet. And it says, out of 296 players that attended the USHL Phase 2 Combine in Green Bay, 0 got drafted. You have a better chance of being drafted if you don't attend. This is the ultimate money grab. And then it said, from the players I spoke with, USHL teams were not even in attendance. So I want to give you an opportunity to respond to this, because I feel like, again, like those are accusations, and they're calling something out. And I think it would be good for you to just kind of give us a response or an idea or some context here surrounding it.
Clarity. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Colby, I expect nothing less from you to hard questions, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. And I get DM'd pretty routinely from people that either know me or I know who they are, and they say, "Hey, can you explain this?" And I'm always happy to have a conversation about it. People that hide behind anonymity and have 200 followers, you tend not to worry about those things. Is there elements of truth? Sure. There were no players taken from that particular draft class this year. What I can tell you is if you go through the draft and you watch, you'll see our graphics that we put together throughout the draft show. And between phase 1 and phase 2 of this year's draft, there were 54 players taken that were actually attendees of our combines. And you know how we know that? Just look at their photos. They're all pictured in combine jerseys. So that's number one. Number two, I think there was an erroneous amount. We charge $575. We have costs that are associated. We have to pay for ice. That's a community rink that we're doing it out of, but they still charge us money. We have to pay for people to be there, and for the coaches to be there, and pay for officials and food services, and the testing. There's a lot more that goes into this. We also offer an opportunity for parents to attend a seminar. We have usually somebody from NHL Central Scouting. Often there's a college coach there. One of the other important aspects of this, by the way, all of our teams were at the phase 2 combine. For phase 1, we were missing one team. And when you miss, you get heavily fined. Every organization in the USHL knows it's their obligation to be there. And honestly, the one team that wasn't there, it should have been an actual excusable absence, but the fine got applied nonetheless. You have to be there. That's their role and responsibility, and it's something that we all take very seriously in the league. So that's that's probably a big part of it. The other thing is we have a lot of North American Hockey League coaches that attend our combines, and it's also for the benefit of players saying, "Hey, you're going to be invited to our camp." Yeah, you go to camp and you find out this isn't a gimme. You don't just get something handed to you simply because you attend a combine. It's hard to play in the USHL. It's really hard to play in the USHL. It's really hard to play in the North American Hockey League. And that's the point. So you come and you compete, you learn about what's going on, you get tested. There's so much more. And clearly, this individual has never attended our combine because they would have known all of these things. I don't want to sound crass, but a lion doesn't worry about the fleas on his back. And you have a complaint, come to us, Send us a note. I mean, we get complaints from fans about officiating. I try to write every one of them back, because that's our responsibility, to communicate with the people that are reaching out to us, that want to say, hey, I'm Joe Smith and I got a problem with this. You want to hide behind, an anonymous account, it really isn't worth our time of day. But hopefully we've addressed those issues and that it puts clarity to it.
Well, I'll say it face to face. I am a kid who attended the USHL Combine. I was told I'd be drafted. I wasn't drafted. I got invited to the Sioux Falls tryout. I got cut from that team. Like, I'm the example of it. And again, for me, those are great experiences.
You get to do the wiener dog race in Sioux Falls.
Yes. But let me just say this, like, for the people that are complaining that, like, oh, like, my kid didn't get drafted and we spent all this money, we went, those were great experiences. I got to play alongside other kids who I then met and became friends with, who made it to the next level. I still played Division I, and I got cut from the USHL 2 years in a row. I never got drafted. And yes, it was discouraging, but kids aren't going to be handed everything 3 times. I guess Sioux Falls cut me last year too. That counts. But you know what I mean? I think those things, Glenn, and while, yeah, there was heat given, to the USHL because of whatever this account said, like, I don't regret ever going. I don't think my dad ever regrets taking me to those events, because, I got to meet other coaches. I met a ton of Division III coaches who ended up coaching at Division I levels. And that's something about hockey where you don't know where people end up. And being at a USHL Combine, being at a main camp for a USHL team, a lot of people move around. And I think building relationships with people in the early stages of your hockey career, you never know where someone ends up. And those things can go a long way too when you are in that environment.
Two important things to correlate to all of this, because obviously it's some Minnesota account. When we're running our combines, Minnesota is also running their player development camps, which, by the way, cost money. And that's okay. That's unfortunately, that's just one of the elements of our game. We play in a very expensive sport. But because of that, we actually had very few Minnesota players that were in attendance of the combine. But guess what? Almost 25% of our league is made up of Minnesota players. In addition to that, I actually had a meeting with the Minnesota High School Coaches Association leadership earlier this week. Some terrific people. We actually have a very good working relationship with Minnesota high school hockey, and that's going to continue. For us to be invited to their meeting on an annual basis, is something really special. And it's not something that relationship wasn't there 10, 15 years ago. And, we're thrilled with our relationship with with the Minnesota affiliate, as well as the High School Coaches Association. So again, it's easy to clap back and make comments when you really don't know the facts. And it's just somebody looking for attention. It is what it is. Hopefully we've answered it and we turn to the next page. We've got another big announcement coming up. We're going to have a really special event, in June that we'll hopefully have announced next week. So it's going to be a really cool event for players, and the experience is going to be unlike anything else that they've ever experienced before. So looking forward to that.
Glenn,
I have a big announcement too, right, Colby?
Well, you always have a big announcement. You just haven't had it in you to make the announcement yet. Glenny, let me ask you this. Like, I recently saw a chart, a graphic. I don't know if Vic has this graphic or not, but with all the college commitments split up league by league. Oh, there you go, Vic. And I think one of the most important things that you guys do well is show that, look, the CHL is actually comprised of 3 leagues. And when you parse them out and you look at the commitments and you look at the teams, like, the USHL still continues to be the main feeder for college hockey. But I'm curious, it's a strong graphic, and obviously you can always add some color to it here. But how is the relationship these days with the CHL? I mean, one of the things that I really took away from your I don't want to call it your press conference, but your TV deal, Vic, you can take this down off the screen. Yesterday, you guys talked a lot about expansion with Bill Daly, and that seemed like a word that really caught my eyes and my ears. And I just wonder, like, with expansion, that gives you more opportunity to place even more players in college. Like, how are you guys kind of attacking that and balancing the thought of expanding the league from 16 teams?
So a couple of things. First off, you mentioned the relationship with the CHL. I hear from them, they hear from me. We try to sort through any issues, in a cooperative, way. We're often called to meetings by the NHL and our respective federations to discuss issues, and we've been working at that. And so it's they have a constituency to represent. I have a constituency to represent. The professionalism between the five of us, the CHL commissioner, the three leagues commissioners, and myself, is good. It's a very respectful relationship, and I think that's a good thing. With respect to expansion, there's definitely some specific metrics that we have to meet as part of our tripartite agreement with USA Hockey and the NHL. And I think our responsibility is to add to between 6 and 8 teams within the next 5 years, and we are well on our way to get that accomplished. We have a couple of paid applications in already that we're doing our due diligence on, and buildings and markets that are going up. Middletown, most notably, is in process and just got greenlit by the Warren County in Ohio. So that and a couple of other key markets that we're really excited about. So that part of it is good, and it is to create more opportunity. There's a strong sense that when you look at the numbers of players that play in the United States, and comparatively, you said it, there's 62 teams and 3 leagues, and we're 16 teams. And so growing there is opportunity for that. I think even some of our GMs are starting to, warm up to the notion that, hey, expansion actually could be good. But not everybody will agree, and that's fine. So I think that helps. A couple of these teams are going to actually be pretty close to some of our Division I programs. And I think that I attended the NCAA or the American Hockey Coaches Association, where all the Division I coaches are in attendance. And I spoke to several of them, and I was really heartened by a lot of what they had to say, and talking about how the USHL prepares players and how they can come in and make an immediate impact as freshmen. I use Ethan Wittenbach as one example, but there's many others. When you look at the Hobey Baker nominees and so on, there's a lot of really good, talented players that come out of the USHL, and that's going to continue, and it's going to get even stronger. And the slide that Vic put up is an illustration of that. I had several coaches come to me and say, "Hey, you're going to be happy to know, our freshman class is overwhelmingly USHL talent," and we love hearing that. That's exactly why we're here. And I think most players understand that there's a strong connectivity to college hockey. And Colby and Johnny, this is the number one leading pathway now, growing pathway to the NHL. It's just what it is. The NHL recognizes how strong college hockey is, and we're gonna continue to hold that strong presence. And in fact, I think it'll even get bigger.
And with that too, Glenn, I know Chicago next year is getting a upgrade to their, or new facility, excuse me. Madison's getting an upgrade to their facility. Like, the facilities now are starting to keep up with the times as well, right? Is there plans to continue to, update more and more different arenas in the league?
Yeah, several of our teams are talking about upgrading. I know Waterloo has got some very aggressive plans to expand.
Muskegon did too, I think, right?
Muskegon made a major investment in their building for player experience and fan experience as well. The next project that I think you'll see on deck and you're hearing more about will be Des Moines. They broke ground on their brand new arena, which will be attached to their current temporary home, which doesn't quite meet USHL requirements in terms of seating, but it's a great venue. It's a great experience for fans, and it's in a growing community of West Des Moines. So that's really exciting to see that happen. And I know we've got a couple of other teams that are talking about either major renovations or upgrades, or even a new building. So I think that all bodes well. And again, the new 3 of the markets that we're looking at immediately for expansion, 2 will be brand new buildings, and 1 is state of the art, fairly recent building with a full main arena of 6,000 seats and a practice facility. So it's a great venue.
Pretty cool. Quick comment here, Colby, in our chat. Shrimp on the Barbie, who listens from Australia, is saying that if it weren't for the USHL, we wouldn't have our one and only NHL player in history for my country. That's Nathan Walker, who played for the Youngstown Phantoms, I believe. So pretty cool comment in our chat coming from Australia right now.
Yeah, I mean,
that's awesome. Hello to the folks down under. It's a lot of stories like that, though. There's a bunch of stories where players have found success and that weren't expecting to have the level of success. Erik talked about it, before, about being a late bloomer. Jeff Blashill brought that up to me about, hey, like this, don't turn this into a race to get younger. Somebody's got to look after the late bloomers. And so we try to fill the whole ecosystem. And as when we talk about heaviness of league, I think our alchemy right now is really good in terms of the age of our players. I think our average age when our season starts is somewhere between 18.1 to 18.4. And I think that's a good heaviness, which is why you don't see players getting 150 points in the USHL. It's a hard league to play in. It's a hard league to score in. So
you're going to the last topic I want to ask you about here, Glenny, before we say goodbye to everyone for the week. And this is a topic that NHL fans, this may not be high on your radar, but let me tell you, it should be, because the effect that this could have trickling down, but also making its way up, it could be monumental. And there's conversation happening right now at the NCAA level about capping ages in the NCAA level. And I think one of the things the NHL has always loved is that we're going to draft a kid in the first round, and then he's going to be 18, and he's going to be playing against some 25-year-old seniors that play for, name that team, right? And they like the fact that you're going against these older kids. Well, the NCAA is, and not just for hockey, but in all sports, they're sick of being sued, and they're getting ready to potentially vote a rule in that puts an age-based clock on eligibility in college hockey. My sophomore year, Matt Gilroy won the Hobey Baker. Matt Gilroy was 25 years old when he won the Hobey Baker. Under these new rules, you will not have a 25-year-old college hockey player. So this could, and then Matt walked right into the National Hockey League after that as a grown man. I mean, he was a really good player. But again, you're talking about a 19-year-old versus a 25-year-old. That's why Michigan State, that's why the Flyers wanted Porter Martone to play college hockey. That's why Wittenbach stayed in Quinnipiac this year and didn't get pulled right up, because they want him going against these older kids and learning his game. So this new rule that they're thinking about putting in, this 19-year-old, 5 years, five year, whatever. There's been conversations about solutions that exist within this. And Glenn, I know you and I have talked about things like this over and over and over again. And I just kind of wanted your thought on this and what solutions could be, and really how this could potentially affect junior hockey and hockey in general, up to the NHL and down to squirts and peewees in all of our local townships.
So, Colby, it's a great question. And during the coaches convention in Florida last week, they had the attorney, Scott Beerby, general counsel for the NCAA, and he was there to present. I actually had a couple of slides. I could send them over to you guys if you want to kind of explore this later on. But, the premise is that your clock will start at high school graduation. Number 2 would be your expected high school graduation date, and that's based upon when you enroll in high school, or age 19, whichever comes first. And they claimed that this was all in the name of solving litigation problems. And so I'm not shy. I went right up to the microphone and said, I don't understand how you think this solves problems. I actually think you create a new class of litigants because it collides directly with the amateur eligibility doctrine. And so, which is what has created so many problems for the NCAA. You can't have players playing football for 8 years, waivers for this, a medical waiver for that, a COVID year, a red shirt year. It's a disaster, and it's all, it's probably money driven for sure. But at the end of the day, I support the notion that they need to have a set guideline. And I said, pick an age, and 19 is probably the age that they need to pick. I said, because from our perspective, we actually met with our counsel afterwards and discussed this. And we know we don't have legal standing for the most part in the matter, but our players do. And, you cannot have a player have their clock start at 17. McKenna was a player who played for Penn State, and he was 17 when he entered college. You can't have one player entering at 17 and his clock starting and another player at 19. There's such a disadvantage. And particularly because there is no set, you can literally have a September 1st birth date and be the oldest in your class in the state of Minnesota and move to Wisconsin and be the youngest. And so that just can't be. Pick an age and stay there. Now, that said, I've heard a few things that I'm going to just say are positive signs that I think the NCAA is recognizing this. We did craft a memo to them, which I do understand they are taking, they're taking it seriously. And I think they felt it was thoughtful in its tone and trying to help frame what is important to our sport. I don't think, I'm sure the college commissioners will also be, and that was stated in the meeting, that they'll be presenting their own case. So if you were asking me to place a bet today, I would be betting that this settles in a place that is productive, more productive for hockey. And even if it is 19, I don't necessarily see this the end of the 21-year-old freshman. And I say that, A, because there are late bloomers. B, if a player is good and my team gets, crushed a little bit in the portal and I'm needing players, taking a 21-year-old freshman out of the USHL for 3 years may not be a bad thing. A lot of athletes can graduate in 3 years. And if we're doing our job in terms of
Many of them
academic
do.
experience, we can have players ready to graduate in 3 years. And so I think it's going to be okay. I'm cautiously optimistic that this is going to get resolved the way hockey needs it to get resolved.
Wow.
But do you see the hockey ecosystem changing ever? Like, I know that's the biggest thing, right? It's the coaches I talk to, it's all about how they're explaining the ecosystem of our sport is just different than the others when it comes to NCAA. And do you feel that there will be pressure to change one day?
I think there could be. I mean, let's assume that the age lands at 19. So right now, this year's freshman class, 50% of the players were 21 in this year's freshman class.
Wow.
Another 28% were 20-year-olds. So 78% of the freshman class were falling into that age. And here's the other staggering thing. There were actually 9 separate birth years in this year's freshman class. So that tells you just how, exactly, you could drive a truck through it.
How does that even add up?
Because there were players that were younger. You had a handful of 17-year-olds. I think there was one 16-year-old, and at least that's the report we've gotten from College Hockey Online. So, and then there were players that were older than that were listed as freshmen, in the freshman class. So that were older than 21. So I think the goal here is to see it land there. Does that put downward pressure? I think it will. I think there'll be less 21-year-old freshmen, and that will cause us to get a little bit younger. And frankly, I think that's desired by the NHL. I think they want us in that draft eligibility sweet spot. I think that's what they're looking. They haven't come right out and said that. We've got to build our system based upon the best players that are available in our age group. But I think it shifts a little bit, but it's not going to be as seismic, I think, as people feel. As long as they land at age 19, I think we'll be in a good place.
All right, Glenny, 2 quick things here before we let you go. One of them, I'm trying to find the comment. It's from Jared Celine. He's asking if there's any chance that we'll see a USHL game on NHL Network. And if not, tell everybody where they can watch the conference finals of the USHL and the finals, the Clark Cup finals, because you actually told me this recently and surprised me, because I was like, oh wow, you can get it there. So maybe you could just give people a quick idea of where they can find the conference finals and finals.
So all of our games are streamed on the Flow Hockey Network. That is our streaming partner. There is a paywall there, but if you sign up for Flow, you also get the American Hockey League and the East Coast Hockey League and so on. So all of our games are available there. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Game 1 of the Clark Cup Finals will be free for view. And so you'll be able to pick that up on I think Fubo and Amazon Prime, which is Flow's free for view partner that they align with. So if you do a search for USHL games on Amazon Prime, you'll see our games listed there. And I am sure once we get a little closer to Game 1, we'll pump it out to say that Game 1 will be free for view, and that is compliments of Flow Hockey, which we're thrilled that they'll do that for us.
Everyone has Amazon Prime.
I'll be on the call for that game, for Game 1 of the Clark Cup.
So then you'll get the mute. Everyone will get the mute. You'll get the mute button ready.
If you're listening to this show and you want a shout out on the broadcast, I will do that.
Isn't this the same guy that said we should just have just the players mic'd up and no talent and no just that?
That was not my idea. I've heard that from other people. That was not my idea. I think that's the worst idea that hockey could ever do.
I think I'm going to get them to put a graphic up of it'll be Johnny Bloom Lazarus. That'll be his new name, Johnny Bloom.
Johnny late bloom. Johnny hasn't bloomed Lazarus. We'll get a sweatshirt made up. All right, listen.
Thanks,
one more quick thing. I just need you to agree to this, just so our listeners, Zinoviev in our chat was asking. Will you agree to if from your side of the aisle, will you agree to a series against a CHL program or team? Would that something you do? I know we've asked you this before, but we've been asked in our chat, will you do it? So I'm asking you, and I know it takes two to tango, but will you agree to that, having a series like that?
Yeah, actually, I think we were trying to put it together last year, a preseason event, and like to absolutely do it. We've mentioned it to the OHL and CHL commissioners, and would love to be able to put one together. We think it would be beneficial for everybody. And, all of this college guys and NHL scouts have said, oh man, pull that off. And so, yeah, we'd love to see that happen. We think it'd be great for the game and great for our mutual leagues. And, let's try to put it together. So, I think maybe you should go ask those guys if they want to play us.
Those guys won't come on our show, but we'll ask our friend Jeff, who does seem to get a lot of those people on when maybe the next time he's on and he has one of those commissioners on, maybe he could ask that question for us, and maybe we could broker some sort of series here, and it could be a daily face-off event. Who knows, right? Maybe
that'd be cool.
Maybe we make it a big daily face-off event. So we'll table that.
We
for
do
now.
A media game.
Thank you for no media game, Johnny. You're not involved.
Putting down like maybe a cash challenge or something.
We can come. I mean, we'll just Johnny's full year salary will be the prize money.
I'm strapped. I'm strapped.
Or better than that.
Yeah, full year salary.
Out of bed for that amount of money.
Yeah. All right, Glenn.
Doesn't Johnny get one more thing? Doesn't Johnny get?
No, we don't. He hasn't really been on his game today. He's distracted. He's in a hotel somewhere.
I haven't been able to get a fucking word in. You've been yapping the whole show.
I think he might be in the doghouse with Emily right now. So like he's probably just not allowed to talk because she's like sleeping in the hotel room. So
Colby just said I'm in the doghouse with you live on our show.
So I think that's exactly. Yeah, exactly. So Lenny, thanks for coming on today. We'll be keeping our eye on the Clark Cup conference and finals, and we'll be looking forward to seeing that on Amazon Prime. But we'll have you on soon this summer, and we'll talk more. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Glenn. You too. See you next week for the Clark Cup final. 4 great cities right now involved, Colby. It's Fargo, Sioux Falls, Muskegon, and Madison. So whichever 2 teams do advance, it's going to be a fun Clark Cup final. But I haven't said awesome stuff once today, I don't think, because Army got booted. Erik Cole, we went right into Glenn. So awesome stuff with all three guests today. Three totally different kinds of guests, but great to have each perspective, right? Erik Cole was awesome. Have you ever talked to him before?
No.
I felt like we knew him forever just from having him on once. I don't know what that background noise is, but should I get into Bet365 and we can wrap up this week of shows?
Yeah, make sure if you're going to cut out, hit the like button before you cut out. Go ahead, Johnny.
All right, so tonight's Bet365 bet of the night. There are a few things more stressful than a close hockey game. One late back check could make all the difference between a chance at playoff glory or an early spring tee time. That's why Bet365, an official partner of the NHL, is offering 3-goal early payout. If the team you're riding goes up 3 goals at any point in the game, they'll pay your bet out early. Hockey fans have enough things to stress about, and with 3-goal early payout, now your bets don't have to be one of them. Bet365, down the app today. You must be 19 or older. Please play responsibly. And tonight, you probably could have guessed it, but we're taking the Montreal Canadiens on the money line. Like Marco said yesterday, they haven't lost 2 games in a row, and we talked shit back saying, well, they haven't won 2 games in a row. But you got to think the Canadiens tonight bounce back. Obviously, we expect that series to go the distance. I think we both picked Montreal in 7, so big game 2 tonight. Hopefully the Montreal Canadiens can tie this thing up going back to the Bell Center.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think in that Buffalo series, you probably aren't in crazy trouble until you lose on home ice. I think that even if Buffalo is able to get up 2-0, I still think that series will go deep. But obviously, you have to start liking Buffalo to win that series if they're able to take both games. So we'll see if Montreal can sort of crank up the emotion for this game and kind of get back to the level of the end of the last series. So, well, Johnny, long week, man. 5 days. I'm kind of already over Fridays, to be honest. I'm kind of already over it, but we'll power through here. I was actually doing the math. We have
if Tyler heard you say that, he'd give you so much shit.
Yeah, I know, but we know Tyler's not here today. I think we have 35 or 34 more live shows this season. Like, we don't have that many. We've got, next month, obviously, we've got like 19 live shows next month. And then we've got, the rest of this month, a couple more weeks, and the holiday, the Memorial Day. So we'll probably miss one there.
I wonder how many we've done.
We're kind of on the back nine of the live shows here. So we got to keep pumping it out and keep finishing strong. And we'll keep asking you for your likes and your support. So make sure you subscribe to the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. We're almost at 40,000 subscribers. We're close. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Make sure you set your audio downloads on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. Go download the audio version and the podcast version. And this way you can continue to support the show in all the ways that we ask. Comment on the stream. Johnny and I have been jumping in and out of the comments section on the YouTube and trying to respond, or at least like and acknowledge things and some of the funny ones. And there always are some funny shots at us in those comment sections. So we hope you enjoyed this week. We hope you enjoyed today's show, and we will hope that you have a great weekend. Johnny, have fun at the wedding. I hope the dress that you got looks really good, and we will see everybody, as we always do, Monday morning at 9 a.m.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cup of Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.